crafters, welcome back and thanks for joining me. This is Jana with Purple Girl Crafts. Today we are going to be making this card. Now this is a Halloween card. As you can see these little flaps are kind of loose on there. I'm going to turn this over so you can see this is a sliding card. So it's just got that little dot that slides the card back and forth. So when you squeeze this, it'll squeeze down and become a triangle. And then you've got those flaps on the front that kind of stick out to make it look more three-dimensional. This card measures about 5 by 6 3/4. I left it at 5 foot of height so that I could do some extra dimensions sticking out. And then I did put a white piece on the back just to cover up that black piece. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. So I grab my scoreboard, and our first piece is going to be 1.5 by 3 1/4. Turn that back on the 1.5 side and just put a little mark at 3/4 of an inch on top and bottom. That's just a little pencil mark, just for a guide for later on. We're going to cut a slit into that in a bit. Then we need one piece, and this is going to be cut at 5 by 10 1/2. Then we're going to score this. So we're going to score this at 2 5/8, 5 1/4, and 7 7/8. So you just have your 3 score marks on there. Then we need 2 pieces, and these are going to be cut at 2 3/8 by 4 3/4. Then I've got these 2 pieces. Now these could be cut at, mine are 1.5 by 3 3/4, but you can make those as long as you want and as wide as you want. And I'll show you that in a little bit. So I just showed you those, but we'll get to those in a few minutes. All right, now for this piece that we are going to cut the slit in. So I'm just going to lay this just on that little dash mark I made, just a little bit to the left. And I'll line my blade at 2 1/2 and cut down to 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to lift it back up. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go just the other side of it, just a tiny bit. It's probably about 1/16 of an inch wide is what you're going to make this slit. And then again, start at 2 1/2 and then just go down to that 1/4 inch. All right, so let me move that out of the way. I'm going to grab my knife, and we're just going to cut off that on each end. And I'm just going to pull that away. And so this is the piece that we have for the mechanism. And I'm just going to erase that pencil mark. You can erase both of them if you want, but I'm just going to leave that one on the end because that will be on the center glued down. All right, so we're going to take our base piece of our card, and we're just going to fold that in half to begin. And crease out that fold. And then you're going to fold the other 2 ends just the same way, just fold them in half and crease them so they're all going the same way. And this one, I'm just going to make sure it lines up perfectly and then just crease that out. But for the mechanism piece, before we glue this down, we need some circles. So these are 3/8 of an inch. Now, if you don't have this tiny of a circle, you can just use a little piece of paper that is 3/8 of an inch wide. And then just cut it down, just probably I would do 3/8 by 3/8. And then you want to fold them in half. And I'm using my picking tool or my poker just to put pressure right in the center of it so that this will fold a lot easier since these are so small. That's an easy way to fold them without getting frustrated. All right, so once those fold it in half, and you only need to do 2 of them, then just go ahead and just crease those out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that little piece that we have with a slit in it, and we're going to put these on this piece. So we're just going to open that up a little bit and put one flap on the top and one at the bottom. And so that center fold is in that track. And then flip the other one going the other way and do the same thing. So just get that to fit in there. I know it's very hard, it's very small. And then as you can see, it's on both sides, so it's sticking out on top and bottom. And then I'm just going to slide it towards the end. And then I'm just going to use my bone folder just to press that out. And then I'm going to put some glue on here, and we're going to glue these 2 circles down with one of the other pop dots, or one of the other circles, sorry. So I'm just going to glue that on top of there. Don't get too much glue in there because you want to make sure that it does slide. and then turn it over, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put more glue just on those two halves. Well, maybe just need a little bit more glue on that one side. Right, and then we're just going to glue that down. And I cut extra circles because I thought I was going to drop one, because I usually drop things all day long. All right, so you can see it slides pretty freely. All right, so we're going to glue this down. So you want to glue it so that side that has more, and that's the slit is further away from the end, the bigger side, that's what you're going to glue down. So I'm just measuring this so it's in the middle. Just going to put a small thin line of glue, and we're going to glue this piece down. Again, you want to make sure that you're gluing to where the slit doesn't go all the way to the end. So you want to go the bigger end. All right, then we're going to take the card and close it. So just like this. So you just want to put that right flap in. We're going to put glue on that top circle, and you want to make sure it's this time it's all the way to the end, to the top. Put glue on that little circle, and then just close the flap, and then just lay it on top of it. You do want it sticking out. It's the only way this card would work. And as you can see, as you slide it, it will close on itself. It's not going to close all the way because you don't want it to, because you have that slider in there, but it will make that triangle shape. And it opens and closes pretty easy. Right, next, we're going to glue down our two pieces. And this is just some Halloween paper from Michaels. This is probably a couple years old. So I just used the candy corn paper and just gluing that down. Right, now for these two pieces that I told you about, so mine are about 1.5 by 3.25 inches long. You can make them a little bit longer. You just want to keep in your 7-inch for your card, the total length of your card. But you can do it however you want. Now I'm just going to do a 3/8 of an inch score on here because I want that to be on the card and folding over. As you can see, I did it on the hocus on the right side and the pocus on the left side, depending on how you're going to glue them down. Now you can make these wider or you can make them smaller. I also think I'm going to add some orange color to it. And what I should have done is I probably should have glued these down before we put the paper on. So I just shut off the camera for a minute. I added paper to the back side, the same candy corn paper to the back side of that little flap, and you'll see that in a minute. And it was just so that I don't see that white on the inside of the card. Right, so I just took my ink and just did a little bit of inking on the edges just so they can stand out. And when I glue these down, I'm going to glue these about 1/2 of an inch from the edge or from the top of the card. And you want to make sure that's straight. So I'm just kind of using my board to line it up. And then the bottom one too, we'll just do 1/2 inch in. Oops. And then I'm just going to glue that right to about there. Right, just like that. Right, now if you can see it, but you can't see the white on the inside now because of the stuff I put on. Right, so then I have some witch's feet that I drew, and we're going to put these on that little flap. So I want them to stick out from the edge of the card, from the card. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of glue right on the top side of there. And then I'm going to angle these down. I want to make sure again that I measure so that I'm not getting this longer than 7 inches. Oops, wrong way. Yep, so I'm still within my 7 inches, and I have a little bit room on the other side that I can still put some stuff on if I want to put something on the other side that sticks out. Right, that looks good like that. And then for the broom and for the hat, I think I'm going to do the broom so it's underneath and sticking out just a little bit, and then we're going to glue the hat to the top like this. Okay, so I'm just going to put glue just on the handle of the broom on the top. So that's the only place it's going to be secured. I do think I'm going to angle it just a little bit so you can see it coming off the side, just a tiny bit. And then the hat, I'm going to glue the hat. So I'm just going to put just a tiny bit of glue just on 2 little areas, because I'm going to glue the hat to the broom and then to the hocus sign. angle it just about there. Yep, that looks good. All right, and I'm just going to make sure there is no extra glue on there. All right, so that's how it's going to sit when you see it. So it's kind of hard to tell. It looks really cool with it sticking out. So again, this will lay flat. And then just as you squeeze it together, that slider will work and it'll just be like that. So when someone sees it, it'll be looking like this. All right, then I decided to add some brads to it, and I've got these spider brads. Now, I would suggest that you do this before you do the mechanism on the card, maybe, and maybe do the mechanism last. This is the first time I made this card, but this was a little bit challenging to get the brads opened up on the other side. Now, they won't stick to the slider because they're not in the way of it, so they should be fine. So I put one at the top. I'm going to put one at the very bottom on the left side, and then another one just near the witch's feet. And these are brads from Eyelet Outlet. Or you could just use some, other embellishments that you had too, which would be great. Even candy corn, like thicker pieces of candy corn would look cute on here. And then we're going to put one last one just right here in the center. And this one was the more challenging one to get the brad open because I have to really work to get this in there. I think I've got it just about all the way. Yep. And these also are very shiny, so they add just a little bit of extra pop. Now you could color the hocus pocus on here if you wanted. You can do anything. And again, I did add a piece of white to the back so that I can sign the card. And that piece will measure the same as the candy corn paper on the front. And I only did one because you can't put it on the other side. All right. So that is the card that we made. I want to thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Newsletter will be out in the next couple days. Happy crafting. See you soon. Bye-bye.